Hi everyone, Simon here with a review of Formula Retro Racing. Formula Retro Racing is an arcade 90s coin-op style racing game that has been zooped up for the modern world and PC specs. I've had this wish listed on Steam for ages and I was so glad when it released last week. I immediately picked it up on day one. I was super excited and then I played it. And my excitement now, several days after, is much more tepid rather. And this is much more of a mixed bag, and I'm going to explain why, as to why I think it's a mixed bag, and this may tick some people's boxes perfectly, and it may utterly frustrate and ruin your life in others. Things that this game handles really well are the graphical style and the sound of a early 90s coin-op experience. It reminds me of Japanese motorsport broadcasting. Because if you go and watch a Super Formula race now, they've still got like hair everywhere, massive guitar riffs, like outrun styled soundtracks. Do 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 do. You know what I mean? Magical Shower, wasn't it? Is the name of the song, and it evokes all of that nostalgia and memorabilia inside you and really gets your blood pumping for it. And then you look at the visuals and it's this big chunky polygon environments that speed past you really quickly, look fast, feel fast, and it's just bright and colourful. And I miss this era of computer games where not everything needs to be different shades of brown, grey and like dark black and murk. Not everything needs to be miserable in games. Come on, we've ruined the world. We don't need to ruin the video game world. So it evokes all of that fun nostalgia out, and it reminds me of when I was a kid and used to go to Sega Park, which was our local arcade in Essex, Harlow, where I live, and sit down and get out Daytona 500, and it's just missing an announcer being like, race start, and all of that kind of stuff. That's all it's missing for that to all hit the mark. The next thing that it does semi-well is its handling and driving of an arcade experience. The cars, so long as you're driving with a controller, handle quite responsively. It struggles with keyboard. It's as if no one's tried to map any kind of pretend dead zone with a keyboard, so it's all or nothing, so you kind of extreme steer one direction to the other. It's much more forgiving with a controller. You'll very rarely brake on a lot of the circuits in the game, so it's all about that precise precision, and particularly on the two oval circuits that the game's got, you can really feel it when you just want to like move slightly from lane to lane as you're trying to slipstream and get around different cars and so on and so forth. Slipstreaming is simulated in the game, and particularly with the oval tracks it's really helpful to do, because it is a noticeable difference, but it is like an on or off in terms of the physics of the slipstreaming. Similarly as well, there is a crash and damage model in this game, but it's all or nothing again. So, and it's really inconsistent, I must say that. But it is nice to see a car explode with all four wheels off everywhere as you like barrel roll down a straight. And it's quite nice to watch it when several AI competitors do that as well. Moving on to the things that it doesn't do so well, and it's around the consistency of some of the handling that provides, the AI that it provides, and that damage model. And the three kind of all work intrinsically together to create quite often a bit of a frustrating experience. The AI are really spread out in terms of whether they're fast or slow, and there's 20 cars on track, and like it's literally like they've pulled out the old Andrea Moda and Life cars for the back of the grid because they're running like 10 seconds a lap off the pace. So in an 8-lap race, which is what a lot of the tracks are, you'll lap the back 5 or 6 cars at least once. And so when you're dealing with that, the AI are wildly moving around quite often, and quite often they'll just move into you on a straight and smash you out. It doesn't always happen, But sometimes what will happen is that the AI see you and then move out of the way and trigger their own accident into another AI if you're doing like you're lapping a battle, if that makes sense. So it becomes a bit of a frustration on that. Add to that some of the inconsistencies with the driving model, particularly on a keyboard, but really when you have to brake. It's okay if you're going around tracks and you're constantly steering left and right because you can kind of judge what you're doing. But when you brake, it's wildly inconsistent as to where the weight of the car is and for how you get round the corner. So sometimes you'll wildly oversteer, sometimes you'll wildly understeer, and there seems to be no rhyme or reason as to why. After several hours of the game, I'm still struggling with it. I can't really understand what causes what. And in general, because it's an arcade experience, it's not going to like make you go like or frustrated rather, but it will frustrate you if the car does something that you fundamentally go for, and then you smash into an AI who is also driving like a derp. And so that's what I mean when all the things start to come together to create a frustrating experience. So like that all comes together, and then the damage model is wildly inconsistent because you either hit someone and all four wheels fly off and you get respawned, or you smash into someone and nothing happens whatsoever. You might see a graphical piece of front wing fly off, but it doesn't actually change any of your driving model or any physics with the car whatsoever. It's just a graphical piece that's fallen off. So it feels like it's more in depth than it actually is, and that's a shame. Outside of that, it's also limited in the types of tracks that it's got. There are only 8 tracks, and I feel like that is really underplayed for it's under the value for what I paid for the game, which is £10 for 29p. Because 2 of the tracks are ovals. Admittedly, one's a normal oval, one's a tri. Monaco is on here, but it's not called Monaco, obviously. There's a track that looks and plays a little bit like Fiji Raceway. But you start off with 5 of them, and there are 3 different difficulty levels depending on how quick the AI goes, and you score points depending on where you finish. Those points turn into license points, which then unlock the other 3 tracks as you go along. There are 20 different colours of cars to choose from, but they all handle and play exactly the same. No AI drivers really exist, they don't have names or anything like that because there's no real championship. It is just literally going through and just playing single races over and over again, and there lacks a structure to actually make you come back and play this game time and time again. Outside of the races, there are also leaderboards for a race time and a best lap separately for each track, and that can keep you coming back for a little while. And there's also an eliminator mode which takes out last place each time the lap's completed, but it kind of feels a bit meh because the difficulty levels, particularly on tracks where you actually have to brake, are done in such a way that they're either wildly too slow and you win by like a canter, or they're just driving a completely different physics model to you and your car, and they speed off into the distance and you'll be struggling to keep up. And again, it's about this all or nothing inconsistency, and it's a thing that plagues the game throughout. That being said, I still had a really fun experience playing the game, and it does evoke plenty of nostalgia, but nostalgia only takes you so far with games like this. You need to have a reason to keep coming back and playing over and over and over again, and adding things like AI with at least some funny names, like under Nigel Mansell's World Championship Grand Prix, and you had the guy which was just called I Am the Fastest. It was only a name, but it gave it some character. There's no championship mode to do all 8 races and like add up points as you go along. No particular split screen mode, no multiplayer, no online, which I didn't really expect. But it's just there's a lack of reasons to keep coming back and playing this game, and the developer doesn't really have a history of updating the games once they're released either. So I can't even say that this is like a diamond waiting to be polished. It's just jagged around the edges, and so hopefully I've explained why some of you may absolutely adore and love this game and it might really click with you, but for some other people that need that plethora of options and replayability factor to come back and enjoy this, I think you'll get frustrated and you'll leave this game after about an hour and you won't come back to it. So it's with a heavy heart that I give this game a very mixed review. I hope that's of interest. A written review will be over on highplanegames.com in the future, but until then, you guys take care and happy racing. Higher Plane Games is part of the Higher Plane Network, a collection of media projects ran by me. If you like what you see and want to find out more, visit patreon.com/higherplane-network. Your support can make so much more possible, be that a like, a comment, a share, or a pledge. Thanks for watching.